Hello, welcome once again to an episode of the Coffee with Coaches podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Stafford, and today I have with me Stan Peake. Now, I could probably read a bio for Stan for hours, but I'll keep it real short and sweet. Stan's a certified executive coach and corporate facilitator. He's a 7-time entrepreneur, 4-time best-selling business author, and a TEDx speaker in his spare time, apparently. Stan is on a mission to help 1 million leaders discover their potential. Modest goals, Stan. He says sarcastically. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Kevin. You've had some great guests on the show, so I hope we can set the bar high and just give your audience as much value as possible.
I'm pretty lucky to just basically be able to tee up some of the best coaches in the world, and there's a lot of them, and just let them talk about what makes them tick and what drives their passions and their purpose. It really is the easiest joy I have. So thank you.
Love it.
Let's begin at the beginning. Let's start at the start. What got you not just into coaching, but what prompted you to start a coaching business?
Yeah, I didn't realize that I'd already been coaching before my coaching business. So my background was in fitness and health and wellness. I had owned a couple businesses over an 18-year career. And in that second business, my business partner and I were acquired when we merged with a medical screening company. And so that really did two things. When you fail in business, as I'm sure many of your guests have gone into, it forces you to learn and get better fast. Nobody fails and just, oh, that's okay, unless you have more money than you know what to do with. But so failure is typically a great teacher. Success isn't. And so when you get a nice big paycheck, then it's kind of like, okay, well, what do I do? And slowly, I just wasn't that satisfied with, my job. The company is doing great things. They're still in existence today. But the resonance, the purpose in my role just had shifted so much. So that kind of led to this process of what do I want to be when I grow up? And then I looked back over the previous 18 years, and I was a bit of a, I won't curse on your show, but I was a very difficult and challenging trainer. And I always challenged people to be able to do things they never thought possible. There was lots more, scientific or maybe technically skilled trainers, but I had a way of getting people to accomplish things that they had never thought was possible. So what I didn't realize I was doing was understanding someone's potential and then challenging their limiting beliefs and the story they told themselves in the route to getting there. So, getting back to the coaching, I'd always been passionately curious about business as well. And ironically, I'm sure so many coaches, they do talk about limiting beliefs. I didn't consider myself an entrepreneur. So even starting my third business was the first time that I thought maybe I could be an entrepreneur, and just brought all those, that past 18 years of business experience, a ton of learning, not to mention the certifications and going back to school. That was all just to get to the start line. But the coaching, I realized I'd done, tens of thousands of times over the previous 18 years. I just switched it from really physical training to entrepreneur and leader coaching.
It's so funny how often it's a process of discovery, as in discovering that you already are who you're now realizing you're trying to become, and also, and again, these aren't opposed ideas. These are actually very joined ideas. Then going and seeking the tools and the training and the equipment and the development required in order to continue that becoming, it seemed at first blush like a little bit of a paradox, but really once you get into it, you realize it's just all part of the same process, the same journey.
100%. And it really comes down to impostor syndrome. A lot of times, whether it's becoming a coach or becoming an entrepreneur, we tell ourselves things like, who am I to give that speech? Who am I to write that book? Who's going to take me seriously? Let's face it. I mean, how would someone know they're an entrepreneur without just trying? Because what is an entrepreneur? Someone who's started a business, someone who's growing a business. My 2 cents, it's a mindset. So it doesn't matter what your resume or pedigree is. There's a lot of great entrepreneurs who have never started a business yet. They just have to understand that they could be entrepreneurs and let go of that narrative, that limiting belief, that story that, oh, no, that's not for me.
it really is about interrupting that story, or at least interrupting the script that's currently powering the story, it's like some people will get scared about that. They're like, well, who am I if I'm not this script I'm running constantly? And that fear, whether they consciously are aware of it or not, will really keep them from realizing that they are who they already think they can't be, and you being a perfect facilitator for that can step in and calm their fears just enough to say, why don't you look at yourself from this perspective? Or what would happen if you told yourself a different story? And then all that natural capability inside of them just starts working. And so you don't really have to do a whole lot. You basically just have to facilitate, get it started and guide.
Well, that's what I love about coaching, is that I don't have to be smarter than my clients. I always joke that, I'd love to say I'm a coach because, I founded a unicorn company, sold it for over $1 billion, and I have an IQ of 200. Neither are the case. It's really that I'm a passionate, curious learner, and I create a space for people. So my clients are all smarter than me in some way, shape, or form. The big thing I do is make them aware of their thinking. Specifically, I love cognitive behavioral therapy. I do have a background in that. And it just helps people understand that there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with their situation. It's not a bad economy. There's a trigger event that leads to thoughts. And those thoughts, if left unchecked, can really form the basis of our belief patterns. And then our beliefs really influence our emotional state, which of course our emotional state dictates what action we take or what actions we don't take. Of course, our results come from our actions. So if we work backwards, you want better results, we need to take better actions, which means we need to be in a better emotional state, which means we need to really influence the quality of our thoughts and choose our beliefs wisely.
Very, very, very strong. A couple of different points, but I just love the phrase quality of our thoughts. And again, like you lay it out like that, and it sounds really simple because it is pretty simple. It doesn't mean it's easy. And there could be a lot of friction, especially in those first movements, but it really is just this to this to this to this. Oh, let's go ahead and work backwards from that result. And it lays out in front of you like a road. It's so powerful once you realize that. It really is like a dawning, almost like when you become a coach or when you realize that you already are a coach, it just sort of dawns on you and you're like, oh, all right, let's carry on then.
That's exactly right. And that's how, I humble hat off. That's why a good coach can work with a really diverse population. I've coached people in finance, cybersecurity, higher education. Heck, I've coached the dean of a university before. And these are definitely people that are smarter than me, especially in their lane. But I'm not coaching someone in legal how to be a better lawyer. I'm not coaching, a construction, founder on principles and safety. I'm coaching them on how they look at their world.
Let's talk a little bit about your coaching business. What kind of programs, courses, trainings do you offer? Are you one-to-one? Do you do webinars? Obviously you've spoken at a TEDx, so you clearly do keynote speaking and presentations, but yeah, what's the meat and potatoes of your coaching practice?
Yeah, two things. The bread and butter really comes down into two main service offerings, both in coaching, but two main outcomes, let's say. So help driven entrepreneurs grow their business and help driven leaders grow their executive presence and the capabilities of their team. That's it. So there's lots of business coaches that do all kinds of things. They might specialize in communication or, relationships, whatever, but I help people grow their business or grow their leadership. We do that through a proprietary process we call R.E.S.U.L.T.S. My big thing is I believe nobody needs a coach. They need the results that a good coach can get them. So our process is called R.E.S.U.L.T.S. It's an acronym, and it really just begins. I won't go through the whole thing, but the R stands for reveal the root, as in the root motivation, your purpose, your why, but also revealing the roof. What are those limiting beliefs? What are your success habits or fundamental practices or lack thereof? So it's really, we start all of our coaching with what are the goals? Why are we talking in the first place? And how likely is it you might get there from your current success disciplines, your beliefs, your purpose, and what can we influence? Which of course means that there's a fit, It means someone's coachable. And then we get a lot more granular, a lot more detailed. I believe in being very transparent, but also structured. As an entrepreneur myself, I believe that the coaching should be an investment and actually should be measurable, where you can demonstrate ROI. An entrepreneur, an executive, an emerging leader, they should have demonstrable success that is measurable over and above whatever they've paid and invested in coaching.
Absolutely. And that word, again, another key word, investment. People are finally, I mean, I think maybe it's come and gone as the years have gone by, but over the past few years, I have noticed a significant increase in people thinking about coaching as an investment in themselves, in the life they're living, in their family, in their business, in the totality of themselves, and really focusing on that word investment, because that allows people to, because there could be that barrier there to where they don't necessarily know how to convert their money into their own journey, into them becoming more themselves. And really that, I feel like that term investment is the key to it, because you are investing in yourself, not just the money, but the time, the energy, and the effort, and also the discernment to choose a good coach that's a good fit for you, who can help you, reveal your roots, raise your roof, or discover your roof. I in my head, I heard raise the roof, but that's a whole different step.
Either way.
Let's real quick talk about what might be coming in 2022. I know we're still pretty early in the year, but everybody I'm talking to, they're excited about something big coming up in this year. And obviously we've been in a sort of strange state for the last couple of years. And I'm getting a lot of optimism and a lot of excitement from coaches, especially. So what's going on? What's coming up for year 2022?
Yeah, a few things that have us really excited. I work with business partners. I started my own coaching business, and then in the last couple of years, I actually moved the coaching business inside of a consulting company called FSQ Consulting. Forget status quo. That's what FSQ stands for.
Very nice.
And so what's got me excited is that with business partners who are brilliant experts in marketing, finance, and operations and scaling businesses, we've got a few companies we're working with that are just philosophically aligned. They really believe in leadership. And so when you get excited about who you serve and what that might look like, it goes far beyond, we're going to make this much money this year. It really starts to look at the legacy sort of things. And these are larger companies through which we can impact a lot of people. So that's got me really excited, as some of just the philosophically aligned, brilliant and wonderful people we're working with. You mentioned the TED Talk. So I actually, the day we did the TED Talk, two of my business partners, Matt Young and Nelson So, they also did a talk at the same event. And so our talks have only been out a couple of weeks here. And so being able to leverage what really is a glorified business card into new opportunities and new ways of getting to that goal of helping 1 million people have got me super excited. And lastly, we worked with a publisher last year, Morgan James Publishing, thank you to them, to write our book, Life Literacy, which is an attempt to really, break down a big challenge that's happening in the workforce, where there's a generational disconnect. People our age, maybe a little bit older, Kevin, they don't want to hire the up and comers. They have this view that millennials are entitled, don't want to work hard, and senior leaders are retiring later with boards of directors who are less risk tolerant. So if you really play that out, we're giving the next generation less opportunity, and we're criticizing failure or mistakes more harshly. That is a business continuity nightmare, because we're going to give who is going to be 75% of the workforce in 10 years a much sharper and more severe learning curve that we just don't tolerate mistakes. Yeah. So that's not realistic. That's not leadership. So Matt and Nelson really wanted to get in front of that and just help as many people as possible, kind of, grab the leaders by the lapels and give them a shake a little bit, but also grab the incumbent, the entering workforce, and say, hey, before you even go into a job interview, this is what's working against you. So long story short, these are some of the things we're working towards. And it all really comes down to one word, and that's impact. I love what I do. I've been coaching for years. There's a lot of unaccomplished goals. There's a lot of things we've been able to do, But what I'm most excited about in 2022 is that we have a larger platform to help more people and really get closer to that vision of helping 1 million people discover their potential.
I just love that aspect of coaching in particular, is the way that the smart coaches, which are almost everyone I talk to at this point, they're finding their way to maintain what makes them powerful as a one-to-one coach: the connection, the depth, the empathy, the ability to pass quality thoughts and feelings between each other towards growth, but then to also, at the same time, while maintaining that and preserving that and growing that, scaling and being able to touch and connect with so many more people using those same tools on those same roads, going on that same journey. And it really is, again, it's another one of those things that at first blush might seem like a paradox, but really it's the way it always has been. And we're getting to see some of the preliminary results of that now. And again, I know there's a lot going on in the world, but I have tremendous optimism for the way things are going right now, especially with people like you to guide us. Not to blow smoke up your butt, but it's fantastic what your mission, your goals, everything you're putting behind it, what you've done, what you're doing now, what you're going towards in the future. It's fantastic.
Kudos, Kevin. Thank you very much. And, I really love what you're doing. I love that you have all kinds of different coaches in different lanes on here. I have a reverence for the coaching industry. And I just, one of my primary goals in getting on here is to make sure that people really do look to coaches. I can't help everybody. I hope that, people are looking to coaches, and I, don't even get a call, but they understand that there are better coaches for them out there. Because what I really don't like is coaching has blown up as an industry, which is great. But with that, there's been a lot of buyer beware. Someone hires a coach. So going back to exactly what you said about investment, really important to vet your coach. Ask your coach questions. What is their relevant expertise? How have they helped someone like you? Who's their coach? A good coach has a good coach. Yep. Absolutely. And, just again, the designations, I mean, most people who hire a coach don't know what ICF stands for. They don't know what the different, coaching governing bodies are, but they understand if someone's been, in their shoes before, and if they've accomplished things or can help them with their, again, roadblocks, limiting beliefs, opportunities. So vet your coach, do your homework, ask them to speak to clients they've coached in the past who have, had similar goals. A good coach who's helped others should have no objection to providing that sort of background info.
The evidence is there.
Exactly.
It always is. Speaking of vetting, where can people find you? Or I should more accurately ask, where do you like to be found on the internet? Where do you like to interact? Where do you like to have conversations, make connections? I presume LinkedIn, almost certainly a website or two. What are your preferred locations for connecting and getting to know people?
Those are the two biggest ones. Is the website. We'll just make it easier and go email, which is stan@getsuccessfaster.com. So obviously the website is getsuccessfaster.com, and also LinkedIn. I'm 45. I really don't know how to TikTok or Snapchat or any of those other things, but very active on LinkedIn and email. And I love just if people want to interact, asking questions, whatever. Giving back is a big part of what we do. I've probably coached more people for free than I've charged. And it just comes down to, again, like at the end of the day, I just want to know that my corner of the world is better because of the efforts that I've put in over the decades.
I can't think of a better note to end it on. Thank you so much for everything you do and for being here today and talking with me. It's been fantastic.
Kevin, it's been a privilege. Thank you for all that you do. And thank you for allowing me to be a guest and just, again, hopefully share some nuggets of wisdom that last with your audience.
A joy shared is a joy grown. Hopefully we've added to the pile today. I think we have.
Love it. Thanks again.
Thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you soon.